Hi, this is Nancy Damiano, garden girl at 2peasinabucket.com with this week's episode of Scrap Your Stash. Today I'm going to be making a page about my son. I'm going to be using some die cuts, chipboard, and a collection pack. And I'm going to scrapbook one of my favorite things, which is boys. Naturally, being a boy mom, I do this all the time. And today I'm going to be using the Hey Boy collection by Basic Gray. One of the things that drew me to it right away was the basic patterns. I don't want all of my papers to be necessarily themed, although I love that train paper. And there are certain ones like the school, and there's always a good wood background to use. So I like that it's, I guess, lightly themed because I want to be able to use it for a lot of different things. And the first thing I do when I'm going through a pack like this is choose a color scheme. Now I knew from my photo that I was going to use red, and so I'm using some teals and blacks, and I'm just going to pull out everything I think will complement the photo. Now I've narrowed it down some. Just going to match it up to my photo there. And I know I'm going to use the wood as the background. And I like the dark background. I like how the bright picture and the bright colors really pop off of that. And I always use something to journal on. So that's that blue ledger paper. I need a little pop of red. And I like the bingo cards, but they might be a little too small. So I'm going to end up going with a dot. It was just a lot bolder. And I didn't want to add more writing down the center. Now I have a general idea of how I want the layout to work. I like to layer a lot of different patterns and papers. And so this is the easiest design. 2 verticals and 1 horizontal. I'm going to go ahead and cut those. I just made very light pencil marks there. And I also put the ledger paper through my printer. Now my journaling this is really a general page about my son at age 7. I like to do one of these pages every year. And I put some of his favorite restaurant meals and colors and friends and all different types of things. And I'll add a detailed shot at the end of the video so you can see exactly what I journaled. It doesn't change too much from year to year, but I think from, say, age 7 to 16, there's probably going to be a big difference in those. So I like to get that down in my scrapbook. I'm going to go through the die cuts. This is either Hey Boy or Hello. Those are the only 2 things that I used from Basic Gray. I'm going to pull out a few die cut choices. So I'm looking for specific shapes and colors. Anything blue and red. Anything in a horizontal line, and then a circle. Now I definitely want to use that flag, but I need something to ground it. And a circle shape really works well. So I chose a few of those, and I'm going to choose this red one for the color and for the shape. I needed something round to break up all the straight lines, and also that nice bright pop of red. I'm going to fiddle around a little bit more with the papers. I don't want a very blocked look, so they're a little staggered on the bottom. And just the way the papers are laid out really frame out that photo. And since I'm only using one photo, I really want it to stand out. It's one of my favorites of him at this age. So at this point I have all my layers down. I'm just going to take another look at it to see where I need to add my texture and shape. That was a little crooked there, so I had to go back and peel that up a little bit. Now I've added 3 more layers right in the center with my chipboard, the flag, and the other little die cut piece. And I'm looking for something else because I have this huge empty spot. So my first idea is to go with a little collection of circles, but I didn't like that very much. So I picked out this chipboard for my title, pretty much. It's from the Dear Lizzie collection. I think this was the Lucky Charm collection. It's one of the very few pieces I have left. And you'll see how this cluster comes together. Something flat, my chipboard in the center. That I feel is fading into the background. I can't really see you very much. So I decided to use a little piece of wood pattern paper. So I'm just going to cheat a little bit and grab a little off the end there. And back that, and then the U really pops there. I'm going to go tone on tone with this title piece. So you have the sort of aqua chipboard right on top of the aqua paper, and I think that looks just fine. If I had backed it with more wood, I think it would just stand out too much, and then it would compete with the U. It would compete with the with all of the journaling on top as well. Now I'm looking for a few more layers of texture. So that's, I've got my papers down, I've got my chipboard down, and now of course the enamel dots. Just 2 little simple ones right there. There were holes already punched into that U die cut, so I just filled those. And then I still have this odd spot up the right side of that title chipboard. And so I thought about using some of these brads. I always seem to have these around. I'll use 1 or 2 and then that's the end of the pack. But in this case, I'm actually going to use all of those. I just liked how they looked in a row on the package. So I'm going to use the packaging itself to sort of make myself a template so I can get the spacing right. And that's just to save time. I could do it with a ruler and it would come out fine, but there are little punched holes here. So if I just make pencil marks right through the holes of the packaging, I know that the brads will line up in the spacing that I want. I just use a piercer because that makes it easier. Doesn't bend up my paper as much. And then we'll fill this spot with a nice row of brads. That gives me some texture and decoration, more pattern. Okay, now that I have the brads in place, I'm noticing that right under that U die cut, there's something missing there. There's sort of a blank white spot, and also the right and the left side of my layout doesn't seem to be very tied together. So I'm looking for something long and thin, sort of just to tie that, the right and left sides together. Also is going to add a little more color and take up that white spot. I decided on this transparency. This is, I believe, in the Hey You die cut pack because there's transparencies and regular die cuts in that pack. And that fits perfectly with my theme. And then one last thing on that focal point photo, I just feel like it could use some kind of frame, some kind of something. And so I'm going to use this transparency frames from Crepe paper. This is something new from my stash. And always remember to take that film off. It does make a big difference. They're much clearer. And I'm just going to place that right over my 4x6 photo. And then you can see it just adds an instant frame to it and adds more weight to that photo. Two last little things. I'm going to put a staple up at the top and one at the bottom to balance it out. And that's it. It's a pretty simple and straightforward layout. And now I'm going to show you what I did on the right side for the rest of my photos and some decoration and journaling as well. Before I get into the pocket side of the layout, I just wanted to show you this quick up-close view of the journaling because I think that's the heart of the page. So here up at the top, I have all his favorites at age 7, vacation dreams and favorite toys and TV shows and all that different kind of things. And sometimes these have really changed. I've done this page every year since he was probably 2, I think. And so I think this is really useful for any age, whether it be 7 or 17. And that's why I kept the page pretty non-themed. I just went with a color and a feeling of boy rather than a lot of themes, because I want you to be able to use it whether your son's in preschool or in college. And then you're going to see at the bottom, I just use descriptions, just adjectives that remind me of him at this age. And I think that's going to be priceless in the years to come. All right, here is the view of the layout side by side. The layout on the left, the pocket scrapbooking on the right. On the right, that's a Becky Higgins page protector design F, and I love it because it has so many different little pockets. I was able to use 4 more of my favorite pictures. There's also more journaling. I have another title so you know how old he was in these pictures, even though I left that out on the left side. The big 7. And then I have, in some of the blocks, I have his height, weight, shoe size, and how many teeth he lost this year, because that was a big milestone for him. I also have more journaling on his favorite movies this year, and I added some memorabilia that was reminded me of him at this age, which was the Pokemon cards. This was the first year that he really got into that, and I think this whole layout really represents him at this age. I also used more of the chipboard geared towards younger boys. There's also chipboard in this pack geared towards older boys, the records, and there's different shapes and things that aren't necessarily for a 7-year-old, but maybe for an older boy. I hope you've enjoyed this page. I hope it helps you out the next time you go to scrapbook the little boy or big boy in your life. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time.